Hello viewers, Super GT here once again. We're back in the modern GT endurance hopper. We all know what happened last time out at Monza. We don't want a repeat of this. Getting absolutely murdered at turn 1. You know, we don't want that again. So off pole position, let's see what's going to happen as we come up to the first corner. And I start braking, but then it turns out there isn't actually a corner there. We're meant to be going straight on, so that was completely my mistake that time. Thankfully no one was killed as a direct result of that mistake though, which is good news. But coming around here there are plenty of other people who are going to die, those two people there included, as we go into the first chicane as it turns out now. Plenty of contact and I'm up into 4th, so I wasn't murdered at least, but plenty of other people were murdered. That race died out, not much else happened. So we're going to turn our attention to Mugello. A couple of Lambos ramming each other at the start of the race. Aston Martin's just going to unnecessarily turn across. And we're going to go past into what was 10th, but now we're going to lose plenty of momentum. Looking around the outside, just going to try and keep it clean if we can. Now coming into the second corner, plenty of contact up ahead. Just trying to back out as much as possible, and we've got through, yeah, up into 7th place. Audi's just going to drive himself off, and through into 6th place. So that wasn't too bad a start actually in the end. Wasn't completely ideal, but it could have been a lot worse. And still, I'm not murdered. It's normally an advantage in racing, I find, to not be murdered. Being alive is a big advantage, and you'll typically win over those who are murdered. So now up into 5th place. I'm going to try and overtake this Mugello madman in the BMW. He seems to be all over the place. It's really good though to see Mugello come back. It's been one of my favourite tracks in the Forza series. In fact, I did a top 10 tracks about a year or two ago of basically all the tracks in Forza that I like. I've just given the BMW a nudge there, let him reclaim 4th. And it turned out that Mugello was my #1 track. Suzuka was 2nd and Mugello was 1st. So obviously amazing to see this track come back. It's one of the best, I think. It really has some great character, really does flow very nicely. We need to make short work of this BMW because he's all over the place. We're losing so much time, and we are now. He's going to take that chicane pretty badly, get a poor exit. So I'm up into 4th. Now, I guess I don't have to overtake so quickly. It is an endurance race. We have 12 laps here, and it is going to be around about 2 minutes a lap. So we're looking at about a 24-minute race. But then you have the pit stop as well, so perhaps 25 minutes. And then you have getting rammed off by back markers, so maybe half an hour. And then you have getting rammed off by just normal people, so 40 minutes. I don't know. It'll take a while, basically. So we have plenty of time to try to catch people up and overtake them. So onto the back of the Corvette fairly quickly. Top 2 guys I believe are using Audis. If my sensors are correct, from what I can see here, they're using the red and white base livery on the Audi, but we shall find out in a moment. Looking around the outside of the Corvette, he's braked very late. Okay, we're going to try and get the car back on him. I've just left him a car width on the inside, sort of run him narrow, and he has to back out. So that's a nicely executed move up into 3rd place now. So of course we're going to try and turn our attention to catching up with 2nd, who has actually dropped back at the first half of this lap. So you can see here I've gone for the Mercedes SLS AMG, something a little bit different. I typically try to use a different car in each lobby. If I go into this lobby, I try out a different one. There's quite a lot of different ones you can use. So from what I've seen so far, it's really hard to tell which car is the quickest in this hopper. The Audi, as you can see here, a couple of people using it, it does seem to be very quick. The Jaguar seems to be very fast. The 2 BMWs, so the Z4 and the M3 GT2, both are very quick. And we're going to look for a run up the inside of the Audi. Is it quite going to materialise? Yes, it is. Going up the inside easily, actually going a little bit too deep. Trying to make sure that we got past, but then actually really suffer on the exit as he's going to get the cut back. Now we can test out the straight line capabilities of our car here. So this is tuned by myself. So it's always good to see a straight line speed comparison. So you can see here I'm actually losing out on the straight, but then also we can test the brakes compared to the other cars, flying up the inside quite easily. So clearly I have a top speed deficiency to everyone else, but my braking seems to be on point. So there is swings and roundabouts basically. You can't have everything. So I've got the brakes. The handling seems okay, although not perfect, it must be said. Perhaps I need to work on the tune slightly. This is pretty much the first race, of course, except for Monza. So not much opportunity to test the car. So I don't really test it while I'm tuning it. I just tune it and then hope for the best in a race, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll perhaps alter it a little bit. So now we need to turn our attention to catching up with the leader, this lap number 3. It's always good when perhaps you're not leading the race and you have some sort of objective to go after. We have first place to go after here. So if you're in first place and you're 2 million miles in the lead, it's kind of boring, and it can be a bit of a bore, you know, driving around for 25 minutes. But if you're going to start a little bit further back, it is a nice challenge to try and slowly reel that person in, ideally as soon as you can, but sometimes over the course of most of the race or all of the race, and then try to overtake them as soon as you can. So through the long right-hander into the final chicane, the car handling it fairly nicely around here. See that? No drama at all. The Audi ahead, plenty of drama from him as he gets sideways coming out of the chicane. So very surprising actually, because that Audi, from what I can tell, is one of the more planted and easier to drive cars. Although I must say, driving the BMW Z4 in a recent live stream, that car is absolutely planted. That car is one of the best, it must be said. So now the Audi behind me is going to start tucking into the slipstream. He's going to move to the inside. He's gained a lot on that straight. But as we've seen on the previous lap, I've got the braking performance and I am going to reclaim first place. So he was a threat down that main straight. It's a very long straight here at Mugello, but it wasn't quite enough for him to get past into the lead. I had the braking ability just to immediately get back past. So this is lap number 5. I kind of felt sorry for this guy here. I'll show you another clip in just a moment. He was kind of all over the place. Now, end of lap number 7, diving into the pits from the lead, and then on the exit, obviously we lost first place there, but we momentarily lose second, but back up the inside using that amazing braking performance. And so that was pretty much a perfectly timed pit stop. So not really losing a position, or just one position. Now here's that guy Aston again. We're going to lap him for the second time on lap number 12. You can see here he's just absolutely all over the place. I kind of feel sorry for him, because I guess he's trying. He wasn't, you know, getting in anyone's way really. He wasn't ramming anyone. He was just trying to get better. He's probably just bought the game literally today. But there we go, crossing the line, and it was an easy victory in the end. The guy in second wasn't too far behind, but it was fairly comfortable. So we're going to try this car out at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit in the rain. Immediately going to move over here to make this race a little bit more interesting. I was going to let everyone go, but then half of them spun out already. We haven't even got to the first corner and somehow people have just crashed. I think I need to make a guide, you know, how to get to the first corner without crashing. Like, that should not ever be a guide. That should not exist, that guide. But unfortunately on Forza, I think I might actually have to make it, because there are far too many people who can't actually make it to turn 1 without crashing. But anyway, back to the race. We are now in 13th. I didn't let everyone go because there were 2 people I don't think who actually moved. That's probably what triggered the carnage, to be honest. But still, you should ideally be able to drive around a car that is stationary off the grid. But coming into the next left-hander, easily around the outside of that Corvette, he didn't really bother braking, or he braked way too early. 2 Audis ahead. I went up the inside, wasn't a good move. Audi chops across, fair enough, he's going to take that position. Audi off the track, gaining another position, into 11th now. The first guys in the race are already coming up to the Schumacher S, so you can see here I'm a good 10 seconds behind at least at this point. It's a 9-lap race, so the lap around here is fairly long. It's over 2 minutes, so we're looking about a 20-minute race at least, or around about that. So including the pit stop as well, you're going to lose some time in the pits. So the Audi not getting the best of runs through there. Looking up the inside, And is it going to happen? Yes, it is. He was fairly early on the brakes, not very confident in the rain, and I'm going to easily slide up the inside. So the braking performance seems to be very good. Now I've tuned this car to 55% on the rear on the brakes, and then 130% braking pressure, and that seems to kind of work for me. It seems to be a good balance. So the rear kind of makes the car very stable on the brakes, and then the 130 just seems to be a good amount of pressure to work with. So that's kind of the amounts I've been working with on most of my GT tunes, this division, the Forza GT division. So rounding out the first lap, we are in 8th position, 9 laps in total, so 8 more remaining. So one of the changes for this hopper, you can see there, we have a quick stop to do, and actually we have fuel and sim damage, so it's no longer simulation damage. So if some noob wrecker wants to kill me, they can push me off, but they can't damage my car. Although it must be said, I during the live stream I looked at the telemetry, and the fuel wasn't going down, and the tyre wear wasn't going up. So I'm not sure what is actually going on. These two guys are going to take an awful line. You see that? That's a really good example of don't fight with your opponent, because you're just losing time against everyone. You see they gain so much time over them. Now 4th place is just going to, well, succumb to the Super GT effect through the final turn. Just drive himself straight off the track and lets me go. So that was an easy overtake. So crossing the line, we're going to start lap number 3. That was pretty much just over 2 minutes lap time. So it's definitely going to be over 18 minutes this race. And then the Audi up ahead going very wide through turn 1. It's a very easy corner to get wrong. You really do need to try and sort out your braking points for that corner. Well, for every corner you do really, but that's a very crucial one on the track, it must be said. Now this one, just going to hug the inside, keep over to the left hand side here to get a better run through this corner. There is a puddle on the inside and on the outside on the exit, so you're going to try to mine those as much as you can. Super GT effect once again is deployed. This guy just drives straight off the track. Just seems like no one wants to really challenge me. They think Super GT's coming, I'm just going to drive off and let him go. Thank you very much. It does make my life a lot easier, but less fun, it must be said. Now the Jacob up ahead, he's going to get a very poor run coming through the final turn. I'm going to go up into a good 2nd place. Now this is a big contrast to the other people in this race. So a lot of other people were just battling with each other far too much. Now this guy is very sensible. Going into the first corner, he's recognised that I caught him up and I've overtaken him, and he could have easily gone up the inside there and gone for a move. I didn't have the straight line speed. He could have easily have gone past, and he just backed out and he's going to hold position, and that's very sensible, because if someone is quicker than you and they're going to overtake you, just let them go, and you can perhaps try to keep with them and catch up with the leaders. And so then coming through the final turn, I caught up with the leader. You see him just up ahead, but it wasn't enough. Maybe 2 more laps and I might have done it, but he did just enough. And we're going to cross the line, try to roll the car, but it doesn't want to work, unfortunately. Perhaps it's the wet weather. There's too much rain, too much water on the grass, and there's not enough friction. But there we go. That's the end of this video. So the tune is up on the storefront if you would like to get this Mercedes SLS. It seems to be very good in the rain. I'll say that's its main strength. But that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching as always, guys. I do appreciate all the views, of course. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.